Hey, did you hear? Mark's voice was a low hiss as he slipped into my office at precisely 9:03 a.m., just 2 minutes after our morning status update had begun. I glanced up from my laptop screen still open on the final draft of the Maxwell Industries proposal, the biggest contract in MarketWave's history, a deal I'd been nurturing for the better part of 9 months. They just sent it over, Mark repeated, sliding into the chair opposite me. Legal signed off. Dollars and signature. You did it. I allowed myself a small, triumphant smile. Finally, I breathed. After all those endless calls, the presentations, the nights poring over projections, I trailed off, remembering the countless weekends spent drafting risk analyses, the early mornings tweaking our pricing model so that it hit Maxwell's razor-thin margins without sacrificing our profit. This was validation, proof that all those sacrifices had paid off, and it was mine. Mark leaned forward, conspiratorial. Tonight, drinks on you, right? I laughed. Absolutely. Anywhere you want. He straightened, scanning the cubicles as if expecting a rain of confetti. You deserve it. You've delivered the biggest contract in our 12-year history. His grin was so wide I thought his cheeks might split. You're the MVP. I nodded, chest swelling with pride. Let's celebrate. He stood, giving me a quick fist bump. I'll make sure the team knows. We'll raise a toast tonight. I watched him go, Mark's lanky frame weaving confidently through the sea of gray partitions, colleagues peeking up to catch his eye, offering hushed congratulations as he passed. And that's when the unease slithered in, the faint tremor beneath my exhilaration. Something felt off. The morning meeting had been routine. Numbers, timelines, deliverables. My segment on Maxwell had been met with applause. CEO Clarkson had nodded, eyebrows raised in approval. Our CFO, Patel, had even cracked a rare compliment. You've outdone yourself, Sana. But afterward, Clarkson gave me a curt smile and moved on. No personal congratulations, no word about hosting me at the celebratory dinner. He'd saved his applause for the junior account manager who landed a small retail partnership. I chalked it up to Clarkson's stoicism and pushed aside the gnawing doubt. After all, everyone treats me like clockwork. Deliver results, get a brief nod, then move on. By lunchtime, our inboxes were erupting with emails congratulating me. Slack was lighting up. Congrats, S. From Joan in HR. Legend, from tech support's Nick. My phone was vibrating nonstop. I zipped through my sandwich, smiling at each ping, each notification of good news. My daughter Lily's kindergarten teacher had even sent a group message. Just heard you close the Maxwell deal. Your daughter's future is bright. Then at 2:17 p.m., my world fractured. It was a simple email, with no fanfare or subject error, from Clarkson's assistant. Please join me in the boardroom in 5 minutes. No explanation, no congratulations, or discussion. My heart thumped so loud I winced. I stuffed my phone into my bag and rose, all pretense of calm abandoned. The boardroom door was ajar. I pushed it and stepped in. 7 faces turned, Clarkson in his usual dark suit and thin tie. Patel beside him, department heads arrayed like jurors. The long mahogany table seemed to stretch into infinity, its top gleaming under the harsh fluorescent lights. I swallowed. Please sit, Clarkson said, voice low. I sank into the chair across from him, trying to make sense of the somber expressions. Patel's arms were crossed, his jaw was tight. Hazel from legal sat rigid, hands folded like a vigil. Clarkson cleared his throat. Sana, he began. I braced. Yes? He folded his hands. We appreciate your contributions. Your work on the Maxwell contract was outstanding. His tone was polite but distant, like someone complimenting a waiter before demanding the check. I blinked. Thank you. I'm glad to have been of service. He nodded. However, the word landed with the weight of a body slam. The department heads exchanged quick glances. Effective immediately, we're terminating your employment with MarketWave Analytics. Panic bloomed, cold and furious, flooding my chest. My voice came out stiff. Excuse me, Patel interjected, voice clipped. Your position is eliminated. I stared at Clarkson as if he'd sprouted horns. Position eliminated? You can't just. This morning you praised me for closing our largest deal ever. Clarkson's face was unreadable. If you'll kindly gather your personal belongings and leave by the end of the day, we'll process your final compensation. My pulse slammed. I found myself shouting before I could think, but the Maxwell deal, Hazel shut me down with a raised hand. All communications regarding MarketWave must cease immediately. Will provide any necessary documents through HR. The room was silent except for the hum of the air conditioning. My throat constricted. I tried to find a foothold. You fired me right after I proved my value. Clarkson stood. Our decisions are based on the company's best interests. Thank you for your time here. He nodded to Patel. Patel slid a folder across the table. Final paycheck, non-disclosure notice, exit instructions. My hands were shaking as I slid to my feet. I need an explanation. He met my gaze without a flicker. There is no explanation beyond what's in the documentation. And just like that, I was dismissed. Outside the boardroom, the office seemed to pause as I emerged, stunned, clutching the folder. Colleagues pretended not to notice, heads swiveling away. I made my way to my cubicle, emptied. The computer was gone, my nameplate gone, my belongings reduced to the few items I'd grabbed. The coffee mug, the photo of Lily laughing with icing on her chin, my favorite fountain pen. I stepped into the elevator, pressed G, and rode down in silence, the lobby bright and indifferent. The security guard at the front desk gave me a curt nod as I handed over my badge. The doors opened to the street. I stood there for a moment, the city noise crashing around me. Horns, sirens, conversations. Life rose in all directions. Cars idled. Buses whooshed by. People walked dogs, sipped coffee, argued on phones. None of them knew or cared that in the last 10 minutes, my entire professional life had been yanked away. I tucked the folder under my arm and started walking. My phone buzzed. I ignored it. 2 calls from Mark. I walked faster, heading for my car, but the tears came before I reached it. I pressed a hand to the steering wheel, head resting against the glass, as warm droplets slipped down my cheeks. I'd known how to win clients, negotiate contracts, manage teams, but I'd never been prepared for this. 18 years old and fresh out of grad school, I'd joined MarketWave as a junior analyst. They'd given me a chance to prove myself, and I'd done exactly that, year after year. Promotions, raises, awards on the employee wall of fame. I'd built relationships with every major partner we had. I'd stayed loyal. I'd believed they'd been loyal back. But as I sat in my car, engine idling, I realized I'd been blind to what mattered most. My phone buzzed again. I looked at a text from an unknown number. I hesitated, thumb hovering. Then I tapped. Sana, the message read. It's Liam Maxwell. Heard you're not with MarketWave anymore. I've got something to tell you. Urgent, call me. My mind reeled. Liam Maxwell, the CEO of Maxwell Industries, my client. The one whose contract I'd just secured. Why was he texting me directly? No middleman? That wasn't how corporate protocol worked. My pulse quickened. I dialed. 10 seconds later, his deep voice came through. Sana, thank God you answered. Are you okay? I blinked back tears. I just got fired. There was a sharp inhale. Wait, you're fired? But you closed the deal. I scoffed. Apparently winning the biggest contract in the company's history isn't a resume saver. He was silent for a moment, long enough for my anxiety to spike. Then Sana, listen to me. MarketWave is about to implode. They're under investigation for data manipulation. My head snapped up. What? He ran a breathy exhale through my earpiece. Internal audit flagged inconsistencies in your division's reports. They're cooking the numbers to hide losses on the retail side. You and I both know your Maxwell proposal was clean, meticulous, spotless. They didn't want you poking around any further. You were too close to exposing them. My stomach lurched.
You mean they set me up?
That's what it looks like, he said, urgency slicing through his calm. I have documents, emails, draft reports. They want to scapegoat you. Anger flared, bright and hot. So they fire me and bury the investigation under an NDA? Exactly. His voice had dropped to a whisper. They think they've covered their tracks. But I know the truth, and I don't want it to die with you. We need to talk, face to face. Can you meet me tonight? My mind spun. Meet him tonight? Where? My chest tightened with both dread and determination. I'd lost the job I'd devoted nearly 2 decades to. But this was bigger. Yes, I said, voice steadier than I felt. Tell me where. He gave me an address, a nondescript loft downtown near the old warehouse district. Be there at 8 p.m. and come alone. I ended the call and sat back, staring at the wheel. The afternoon sun was dipping toward the horizon, painting the road in gold. Office buildings gleamed like glass monoliths. Market Waves towers loomed behind me, silent monuments to my betrayal. I closed my eyes and took a steadying breath. Losing my job hurt, but uncovering this, if I played this right, I could expose the corruption, vindicate myself, and maybe, just maybe, start over on my own terms. A new wave of determination washed through me. I unlocked the car, took the Maxwell folder from the passenger seat, and flipped it open. Inside were the signed contracts, detailed, airtight, thoroughly vetted, evidence that my work had been beyond reproach. I closed the folder and tucked it under my arm. Tomorrow I'd face the fallout, but tonight, the truth would come to light. I started the engine and eased onto the road, headlights sweeping across the city as it prepared for evening. Every honk felt like a heartbeat pulsing through my resolve. I had a rendezvous to keep, and a reckoning brewing just beneath the surface. Tonight, the boss who betrayed me would learn that I wasn't finished. They might have fired me right after I delivered their greatest triumph, but they didn't know what I knew. And that knowledge was power. As I merged onto the freeway, a grin cracked across my face, sharp. This was no longer about revenge. It was about justice. It was about proving that no corporate suit, no boardroom coup could silence the truth. And the truth was coming tonight. I parked 2 blocks from the loft and slipped inside just before 8 p.m. The streetlights casting long shadows through dusty windows. A single Edison bulb hung from the ceiling, flickering twice before settling into a steady glow. Liam Maxwell stood in the center of the room, arms folded, eyes tense but relieved when he saw me. "Thanks for coming," he said quietly. His tailored suit was slightly rumpled, evidence he'd been pacing. "Come in." I closed the door and scanned the space. A simple wooden table with 2 chairs, a laptop, and a stack of manila folders. No cameras, no corporate henchmen looming in the corners. Just him, and the truth I needed. "Show me," I said, voice firm. "Everything." He gestured to the folders. "These are the internal audit reports," he explained, pulling out the top sheet. "Look at this, requests for data adjustments on last quarter's sales. See how the figures for our retail partnerships suddenly jump by 10% overnight." He tapped the paper. "That's not sales growth. That's Market Wave cooking the books." I leaned in, my heart hammered, and they blamed me because you were the only one whose team never submitted any questionable entries. Liam said, "You always insisted on raw data, properly annotated. You refused to rubber stamp the inflated numbers, so they stripped your access, then terminated you under the guise of position elimination. They thought that would silence you." My hands trembled on the table. "So the Maxwell deal, you think it saved me?" He nodded slowly. "I bypassed my contacts in legal and CFO Patel. I wanted you on my side. I knew firing you would make you disappear. Or so they believed. But I've been watching your work for months. I knew you'd fight." A cold clarity sharpened in my mind. "I need hard evidence," I said. "Emails, memos, anything signed by Clarkson or Patel that prove they directed the manipulation." Liam clicked open his laptop. "I intercepted these last week." He scrolled through an email thread. Clarkson instructing department heads to adjust underperforming sectors so the board wouldn't notice. Patel forwarding with a note, "Make sure this stays internal. No external audits." He handed me a USB drive. All communications on this drive, plus the original audit files showing the discrepancies. I pocketed the drive. "With this I can go to the SEC, or whatever equivalent here, whistleblower protections and all." He rubbed his forehead. "Be careful, Market Wave's board has deep pockets. They'll retaliate legally, financially. You'll need to build an airtight case before going public." I exhaled, adrenaline buzzing. "I'm ready, but I need one more thing. Your testimony. You're the only client who can confirm they tried to hide the pharma data too, not just retail." He swallowed. "I'm in. I'll sign affidavits, and I'll testify under oath if necessary." A sense of purpose flooded me. After 17 years of loyalty, I'd been betrayed, but this was bigger than me now. It was about exposing a fraud that tainted every corner of the company I'd helped build. Liam closed his laptop and stood. "I'll stay low profile. You need safe channels. I have a friend in investigative journalism who can coordinate a press release once we have corroboration from a regulator." I nodded. Good. I'll contact my lawyer first thing in the morning. I paused. And I need your help protecting my daughter. If Market Wave is going to strike back, they might go after me personally. His eyes softened. I'll arrange security for you and Lily. You won't face this alone. I allowed myself a grateful smile. Thank you. My voice cracked but steadying. I pressed on. I need to know everything. Any other shady deals they've done over the years. Patterns, names, dates. I tapped the USB. This is my lifeline. He retrieved another folder. Here, documents going back 5 years. Your name is clear, but others aren't. See these entries marked in red? Those are other managers who didn't push back. We can draft witness statements if needed. I leaned back in the chair, exhaustion and resolve warring inside me. I'll spend the night reviewing this. Tomorrow, I start drafting affidavits and contacting the regulator. He checked his watch. It's late. Go home. Get some rest. You've got a big day ahead. I stood, shoulders aching, adrenaline ebbing. You too. And Liam, thank you for believing in me, for trusting me. He gave a small, wry smile. After what I've seen, there was no one else I trusted. I stepped into the hallway. Before I left, I turned back. Whatever happens, we do this right. No leaks until we're ready. He nodded gravely. Agreed. Night air hit me as I emerged onto the deserted street. I fished my phone from my pocket, missed calls from Mark, a voicemail from HR. I ignored them all. Ahead of me, a new path, uncertain but driven by conviction. I drove home in silence, flashlight beams from passing police cars reflecting off storefronts. My mind replayed every memory of office coffee runs, late-night brainstorming sessions, the camaraderie I once felt. All of it twisted by betrayal. But I also felt something new. Freedom. The chance to reclaim my integrity, rewrite my story on my terms. I arrived at Lily's house. It was only 9:30, but she was already asleep. I tiptoed into her room and watched her curly hair spread over the pillow. My heart clenched. This was why I fought for her future, for honesty, for justice. As I lay in bed later, documents spread across the kitchen table behind me. I thought of Clarkson's face, so composed, so certain he'd won by firing me. But he didn't know I'd already won something far greater. The truth. My phone buzzed again, a text from my lawyer confirming our meeting at 10 a.m. tomorrow, the whistleblower hotline number, and a quick note. Stay safe. We've got your back. I slipped the phone under my pillow, adrenaline still pulsing. Tomorrow, I'd swear my affidavit. Tomorrow, I'd contact regulators. Tomorrow, the world would learn that Market Wave Analytics wasn't the upstanding firm it claimed to be. It was a house of cards built on manipulated numbers and hidden losses. And I was the one who'd blown the lid off. I closed my eyes, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I slept, knowing that when I woke, I'd be stepping into a battle for justice that no boardroom coup could silence. The boss who fired me might have thought he ended my career. Instead, he ignited a fight that would expose the truth, and in its wake, pave the way for a new beginning. Because they didn't know something crucial. I wasn't just a data analyst. I was a guardian of integrity, and I was coming back stronger than ever.